So, hey everybody, I'm in my little bike shop van. I'm gonna talk about the Lewis brakes, LV2 and LV4, and also talk about other brakes today. Right here, these are the brakes I have on most of my bikes. They're the Lewis LV2 brakes, and I love them a lot. They're repairable. They stop about as good as a guide brake, which is a 4-piston, and these are only 2-piston. I only weigh 160, so they stop me plenty. I have a set of LV4 brakes with the 4-piston right here. Show these up to the camera. So the new models have this milled out thing to save a little bit of weight in the lever. You can see everything is CNC machined. So there's pluses to it. There's also some negatives I have to say about these brakes, but yeah, this is the LV4 caliper. A lot of people like the ultimate levers, and I bought those, but the problem I have when I ride, I don't know if you're supposed to ride like this, but when I ride, when I'm going downhill, I keep my finger on the brake almost at all times, and then I squeeze it when I need it, but I keep my finger there. And what I've noticed with a lot of brakes, the amount of effort you have to put into keeping your finger there is quite a bit. And it makes my hands fall asleep really easy on the downhill. So I tried a lot of brakes. I went with these because that effort was so small. It let me, keeps my hands from falling asleep. So these are kind of inspired, is a generous word. They're inspired by Intense Piccadilly brakes. Super lightweight. This brake set only weighs like 210 grams per brake. So they're super lightweight, they're powerful, they're pretty reliable. No one wants to say this, but most brakes are a wear and tear item. So you have these little tiny seals in here, and over time the seals wear out. And usually if it's a good brake, they'll wear out and they'll keep performing for like a decade or two. I have Shimano brakes, TRP brakes. I work on a customer's brakes. They haven't been bled in like a decade and they still work. But if you were to close my eyes, I could kind of tell you the age and the amount of abuse a brake has gotten. So my go-to replacement brake is the Shimano MT200. I have a stack of them back here. They're a good low-cost brake that's reliable. But if you look at how the brake's designed, everything's riveted in. You know, there's no bearings on that lever hinge. It's just a rivet and it's pressed in. There's no bearings on it. It's just riveted pivot points. And almost every brake you find, there's not going to be ball bearings. They're going to be rivets into the lever body. And a riveted brake will work for a long time, but you're not going to be able to keep the brake in tip-top, almost new condition for the life of the product. It's going to wear out. So you kind of have the option to go with a Dior brake set or an XT brake set. They don't even sell seal kits for those. You have to buy the seal kits aftermarket, and it's a big hassle. I recommend those brakes, but you're not going to get, it's not going to perform the same the life of the brake. With these Lewis brakes, it's a CNC machine brake. I have a box of seal kits for these. You can order in the little bearings. You can order in the seals on the caliper, and it's completely repairable. I can tear it down, and I can make this, in a year or two from now, I can make this brake perform like it is brand new. Not just functional, but smooth, new seals, everything. And at the price point, these are like 300 bucks. At the price point is pretty good, but Lewis It's a new company. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get parts for them, you know, 10 years from now. If money was no object, I don't think I would go with Trick Stuff or Intent because the price is just too high and it would make me nervous riding it. I'd probably go with Hope because you can order in a Hope brake set and you can order in the seals from Hope from a decade, 2 decades ago. You can rebuild those brakes. So they're not a disposable, consumable product on your bike. It's like an heirloom almost quality type brake. And this is what they're trying to do, and we'll see if the company stays around for decades and supports their products. Right now, you don't know, but you're getting that type of level of quality, but you're not paying as much for it. The setup is finicky compared to just throwing on a mineral oil Shimano brake or a TRP brake. If you're not looking at keeping something for like a decade or keeping it for multiple years past like a 5-year mark, you're probably better off getting the TRP brakes. I have those on my bikes. I'm trying out their XC brakes on my cross-country bike, and I recommend those. But you know, when you look at brakes, you look how many rivets are in there. Are they designed to be worked on? And most cases, no. But like if this brake went out and someone wanted me to repair the seals on it, the labor would be twice as much as just me putting a new brake on. So most brakes aren't really worth repairing, even if you get into like the SLX XT mode. And yeah, let me show you something else. So these started to leak out fluid, and I was riding like this. I didn't know what was going on. I thought there was like a defect. You see how these are machined on bolts, and one of the bolts fell out while I was riding. So I talked to Lewis. They're supposed to send me out a new bolt. I wonder if I could find something at Ace that would fit in there and hold it in, but it makes the lever loose. So that's something to watch out for. It's not riveted in. It's repairable, but then, you know, stuff like this happens. If you have a bolt can come loose. A rivet's not going to come loose. So there is negatives to ordering in a brake that is completely disassemblable. Disassemblable? Is that a word? I don't even know. Another cool thing about this brake, this is the brake hose. So when it's on the handlebars, you can loosen this up. You can point it out that way. Whatever angle works best to route it into your frame, you can adjust it that way. So that's been a helpful thing on my bikes. So that's Lewis brakes. I think I have some TRP brakes I'm trying out. My recommendation on brakes is, if you want something that's a little higher end, that don't want to spend the money, Lewis is a good option. I have a few in stock. If you want something that's super reliable and cheap, Shimano. If you want something that's reliable and high performance, I'd go with TRP. I really like Hope brakes, and Hope uses DOT fluid. But the issue is with DOT fluid, mineral oil is oil. DOT fluid is caustic. So when you put DOT fluid on paint, it eats away the paint. And you know, there's service intervals that they say you're supposed to go by. And I go to a customer's house and they have a 10, 15-year-old, you know, Specialized, and it has DOT fluid brakes. They kind of work. If I push through fluid through that system, there's like a 30% chance that I like blow up the brake and the brake leaks because I've pushed a seal that's already kind of rotting off because of the caustic nature of DOT fluid. I break the system. If I bleed a 10-year-old Tecro brake that has never been bled, the chances I'm going to destroy that brake are very low. So for that reason, I like mineral oil over DOT fluid. DOT fluid on paper, it might it might perform better. It doesn't get water in the brake lines, but in my experience, a dot fluid brake usually can't last a long time. The only way a dot fluid brake can last a long time is if you're like Hope and it's a very well machined down brake and the seals are repairable. So yeah, you have to kind of, if you're gonna go with the dot fluid and the advantages of dot fluid, you kind of need to go all in and order a pretty high-end brake, in my opinion. That's what I would recommend. But yeah, so I really like mineral oil. I like working with it more, at least from a mechanic standpoint. I don't have to waste a pair of gloves to bleed a brake. I can just bleed it and not worry about my hands getting eaten up with the fluid. But yeah, so when I got set up as a Lewis dealer, I ordered in the Lewis Ultimate. I ordered in another Lewis 4-piston brake, and I ordered in these LV2s and these LV4s. And in my opinion, way too many people are buying the downhill specific brakes. If you're not a downhill rider, you don't need downhill brakes. You need nice, powerful stopping brakes that have a light lever feel. So yeah, I think way more people should be buying these Lewis LV2s and LV4s over the fancy brakes. But yeah, I love them. I don't have any plans to switch them out. Sometimes randomly riding, it'll pull straight to the lever one time. So I think it's called a wandering bite point. It's not enough that makes me enraged or to stop using them. I think the lightweight and the powerfulness of the brake kind of overtakes the negatives of the brake. But yeah, so that's Lewis brakes. If you have any other questions, let me know. This is my second video. I don't know what I'm doing, so if you want to give me some criticism, constructive or unconstructive, I don't care. Leave them in the comments. Thanks.